Thank you for joining me for the Me and White Supremacy virtual pilgrimage. This week, it's week 18, and we're looking at You and White Saviourism, or what is White Saviourism? I'm the Reverend John Borthwick, and I'm the minister at St. Andrew's in Guelph, and it's my pleasure to be with you to reflect on what I'm reading and engaging in on this virtual pilgrimage with my congregation. And I'm grateful for the folks that have joined me along this journey. White Saviourism is something that I've been very much aware of in the church, especially in the context that I've served for many, many years. It is an interesting, fascinating, devastating, traumatizing world that people get into when we do things like voyeurism or voyeur tourism, this way of going out to a different place in the world and presenting oneself as the ones with the knowledge, the ones with the ability to make a change and make a difference and clearly save. In the church, saviorism is definitely our language at times, and certainly from the missionary movement throughout the centuries, there was very much that sense of, we have the right answers, we have the right culture, we have the right way of living in a civilized way. Let us go and not only share the good news of Jesus that will transform and save people in African nations or other nations around the world, but that we also can go and provide technology, provide all the varieties of pieces that can play to make a difference in the lives of people and essentially save them. And it's only us as white presenting persons, as white people who identify as white, who have this skill set, this ability, this power. And I've seen it so much in the ways in which the Christian church has certainly done its mission work or its mission trips that it'll do. So a group of people from a church community will go down and they'll build a structure. They'll have a great time, they'll connect with the community in some way, and they'll feel like they're making a difference in the lives of people. I have personally seen the results of some of that kind of work, where a group of people will go down and build something. So for example, I was in El Salvador many years ago, was in a small village community in the north in El Salvador, pointed out a building that looked different from any other building and said, "What's that building?" And apparently that's a medical clinic. And oh wow, a medical clinic. Yes, a group of people from the north came and built and painted and spent a couple of weeks here, and they built this wonderful medical clinic. That's great. That's amazing. That must be really helpful to the community. Well, it would be, was what the person who lives in the village said. It would be if there was infrastructure in our country that provided for the staff and the supplies and the doctors that would be needed to use and make use of that medical clinic. How long has it been sitting empty? Since the day they left. It's important for us in the North, in North America and Europe, for those who have that white-centered sort of perspective, to be aware of the ways in which we actually can do harm in communities across the globe who yes are disadvantaged, who yes have needs and find themselves in challenging positions at times based on the economics of their country. We need to keep in mind the reason why many of those countries are in the state they're in. Something called colonialism, something called this sort of wet mindset that's basically come and taken what we wanted from the resourced part of the world, taken it from those communities and not allowed them to actually thrive in a way by being self-sustaining and self-supporting. The transatlantic slave trade, so many things, so many layers are a part of the reasons why countries have found themselves in that space, and in a very dysfunctional relational kind of way. It's like we have been the ones who've perpetrated the harm, and now we're coming to fix it and make it all better by doing something that makes us feel better in the North, or us feel better in the Christian church, or us feel better as someone who is white and resourced. but really has devastating effects that continues to perpetrate a kind of colonialism. I want to leave my reflection today with just some things that Layla has to say about why we need to look at this idea of white saviorism and go a little deeper on it. So, just some points that she makes. White saviorism seems benign on the surface, trying to help the marginalized, trying to give a voice to the voiceless, trying to advocate for people who cannot advocate for themselves. In reality, though, white saviorism is another form of white supremacy. White saviorism puts BIPOC in the patronizing position of helpless children who need people with white privilege to save them. White saviorism is condescending and an attempt to assuage one's own white guilt. White saviorism is a form of colonialism, and it is also a narrative contortion. People with white privilege have historically colonized, harmed, abused, kidnapped, enslaved, and marginalized BIPOC. White saviorism sweeps all that under the rug and then seeks to rewrite the script. So as I think today about white saviorism and this, as I continue on this journey of excavating within my own self and thinking about how one goes about dismantling systemic racism and doing the work of anti-racism, white saviorism, definitely in the context that I serve, needs to be very much in my mindset as one approaches how we do things around supporting places in need or engaging in conversations with partners across the world around what might be helpful and how can we support one another in a mutual way. I want to definitely be thinking about that as I continue on this journey. So thank you again for journeying with me. And remember, let's continue to do what is right and not what is easy.